Shane, will you please lead us in prayer? Then we'll stand for the pledge after that.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today to once again give you honor and praise and to thank you for being so good to us. Thank you for saving us. Thank you, Lord, for always being there for us. Please forgive us, Father, when we don't act accordingly. Forgive us, Father, when we sin. Forgive us, Lord, when we turn our back to you. Forgive us, Father, when we try to lean to our own understanding. Today we would ask that you would send the Spirit to be with each one of us today. Give us your wisdom, your guidance, your discernment, Lord, into making decisions that be pleasing to you for your people. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Robbie, will you do roll call for us, please?
Commissioner Mays is not here yet. Commissioner Foster.
Here.
Commissioner, wait, wrong one. Commissioner Mason. Commissioner Vandergriff, also absent. Commissioner Val.
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
Commissioner Wells.
Here.
Commissioner Beauchamp.
Here.
And Commissioner Smallridge.
First item, we have two things we need to add to the agenda under new business. And we have a motion to add those.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Commissioner White.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Beauchamp. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries. And Robbie, cash and fund balance report.
Yes. That should say January 31st, 2024, but just found another mistake. Restricted funds, 1.5 million. Committed funds are at 1.2 million. Assigned funds, 4,123,188. Unassigned fund balance, 10,432,662, and total fund balance, 17,425,525. Cash, 19,384,181, which is up 2.2 million from last year at this time. We did receive the money that we didn't get in December, so.
And these are the correct numbers from into January?
They are,
In that they
because
drop.
December
Okay.
cash was down, so this
Okay.
is correct. I just didn't change the title up there. I'll have that corrected by commission.
Okay. Any questions or concerns about the cash and fund balance? Okay.
All right, sales tax really quick. Anderson County, that was down 4.2%, 4,070,871. The county as a whole, Anderson County's portion, 532,307, which was a little less than $4,000 from last December. So it's close to being steady there. That's the first month we've been under this fiscal year.
Any questions or for that? Okay, thank you, Robbie. And ARPA fund projects?
Yes, ARPA funds, revenue loss. We have everything now in we made some changes and switches, and everything now is in revenue loss, 1.5 million available. Other eligibilities has a deficit of 6,322, which we expect some projects to come under, so that will increase that to hopefully zero that out. And a total for 1,590,074. One thing too, I told you all last month that I would bring back was the interest we've earned on this account, which is showing in the cash, but we're not been reporting out. So far, we've earned $135,105 in interest, and we just got February's interest of $30,000, January's interest of $30,800. So we're at 165, almost $166,000 in interest. That is additional funds that we can spend on projects or for ARP, and it's not restricted in any way. So.
Any questions on it? Thank you, Robbie. And grant inventory?
The grant is all the same. We did add a new column. The second one there is Tracy requested in commission for codes. If it doesn't have a 101 in front of it, then it's all general fund. There's only a few exceptions to that. There's a couple of tourism, and I think there's a 171 and a 128. That's tourism, but I thought there was a 116. Oh yeah, the litter grant 116. There's only like 4 or 5 of those that are different than the general fund, but we did add that column as he requested.
Any questions or concerns related to that? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Right, transfers.
Transfers are 1 through 13, seeking approval as a group. I can
Do you have a
answer any
motion?
Motion
questions.
to approve as a group.
Motion by Commissioner Bochek, second by Commissioner Wells. Any questions or concerns? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay. 14 through 16 are from the school department. There are 1 appropriation and 2 transfers, 1 payroll, and 1 major line item there.
Move to approve as a group.
Second.
We got a motion by Commissioner Wells for approval as a group, second by Commissioner Bochamp. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, 17 and 18 are from the highway department. The first one is an appropriation for $254,000, increasing 5 codes with that from restricted funds, and insurance recovery for $6,700 into other contracted services for a guardrail.
Motion to approve as a group, Mr. Chairman.
We got a motion by Commissioner Val. Do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second by Commissioner Bochamp to approve as a group. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, number 19 is from the county clerk. It's $4,200, increasing title and registrations and data processing equipment, $2,200, printing and stationery, $1,000, and maintenance and repair, $1,000. For Norris, the new rental lease agreement in Norris, they're having to do a few upgrades there.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bochamp. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a second by Commissioner Wells. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, 20 and 21 are duplicates. I'm going to scratch out 20 and go with 21 through 25 from the sheriff's department.
Motion to approve as a group.
Motion approved by a group with Commissioner Bochamp, 21 through 25. And we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Wells. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, 26 is from the Conservation Department, Ben Taylor. It is $4,000 from Parks, committed for Parks and Recreation for other equipment, 790, to purchase a new gate for the entrance at Anderson County Park, up to $4,000. I attached their minutes and also some some pictures of the gate and how it will work.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Bochamp. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Val. Any discussion or questions concerning the gate or the transfer? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise.
Okay,
Motion
27, 28, and 29 are from the Finance Department. 27 is $6,500 for debt service budget that physical agent charges and trustees commission. And the other is an appropriation for the grant, for the food insecurity grant, $194,000, just getting that grant on the books. And the last one is, gotta find the last one. Is for $55,000 in the 263 fund. We have some implementation fee charges for their new vendor, Proactive MD, that's taking over in at the end of April or the beginning of April. So we're in the process. We're working with them, and so we have to pay some new fees for that, charges.
And do these need to be individual or can it be as a
They can be
group?
set all together. They're all from our department
Okay.
of finance. So.
Do we have a motion for approval as a group?
Motion to approve as a group.
Got a motion by Commissioner Bochamp. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Val. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay. Section A is Rocky Top Sewer of Commissioner Val.
Commissioner Val, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to start off by saying we are not requesting a vote tonight. Our municipality that's in our district has reached out to us with an issue. It is a major issue It is an issue that has been ongoing for many, many years. I would dare say it isn't necessarily anyone's fault. I'm sure the chair is familiar with the issues that the city has been battling for many, many years with their water and sewer department. My intent here today is to inform the committee of the issue that the city of Rocky Top is currently facing, the severity of the issue, any assistance that the city feels would benefit the people who live in that town, the crisis that they would be under without the assistance. I can give you a little bit of history from what I know of it, but I don't want to bore everybody with my recollection of issues. I'm sure the chair probably is familiar with most of it that I would say anyway. I have asked the mayor, Kerry Templin of Rocky Top, to come here with us tonight, because I know in the past when municipalities come before us, that's one of the issues, is that we would like to talk to them directly. So I've asked them and the city manager, Coach Mike Ellis, to be here with us this afternoon to give us a little bit of background on the situation that they're facing right now and to answer any questions that this committee may have. Again, I'm not asking for a vote tonight, not asking for a dollar amount tonight. All I wanted to do tonight was bring this to the committee's attention and give each one of us opportunity to ask them questions and do the research on our own before we got too far ahead in the process. So if it'd be all right with the chair, I'd like to ask them to come to the podium and kind of give a brief synopsis of why they're here this afternoon and the problems that they're facing right now.
You have the floor. If you guys will just state your name, please, for the record.
My name's Mike Ellis, and this is Kerry Templin. And I am the city manager of Rocky Top. And as Commissioner Val has said, the chairman probably knows more about the project than I do. But back in, I think, 2020, they started a project, the sewer project. And the bid, the estimate that they proposed was like 4.3 million at that point in time. Well, as everybody knows now, this is 2024 and inflation's hit and the prices has gone up. And we opened the bids last month, I believe, and we were 1.3 million over what the estimate was. And so my primary cause was for doubling the cost was for cured in place. And the mayor can tell you more about what that is, but it more or less doubled what we estimated. And the engineers that had Cannon and Cannon had said that 2 or 3 projects that they had seen in the past, it had also doubled in Ray County and Scott County.
This is the lining where they pull salt through the pipe and they inflate it and it creates a new, basically interior of the pipe. It was originally, they had projected about $75 a linear foot. We've got a little better than 9,000 feet of the cured in place. The lowest bid was 140 linear foot. So that basically doubled the cost just in that. And then the manhole rehab, the cost had dramatically risen on those.
And the grant administrator, he did some figuring, and he said that for us to be able to finance it, it was going to cost us about $10,000 a month, somewhere in that range, $120,000 annually for 20 years. And not only that, we've also got, that don't include the wastewater project that's fixing to come up also, that we're going to have to help finance some of it also.
About $1.3 million cost.
Yes. So, I mean, that's basically where we're at.
We're already getting assistance from the county on this. It was $250,000.
257.
$257,000. Any additional assistance that we could get would be greatly appreciated. We're not asking for a number, it's just if you can do something, because this is really gonna hurt us if we have to start coughing up an additional $10,000 a month for the next 20 years on this one particular project. We've already raised the rates, September?
Yes,
12% across the board. We're not a wealthy community. It hurts these people to have to pay a $200 a month water bill.
Mayor or Mike, if I remember right, and my memory is fading quickly, but I remember some statistic where at the time, half of the residents in the city, and maybe you may remember, Mike, some study that was done, over half the residents in the city live below the poverty line.
The current U.S. Census has gotten better, it's 43% now.
43, okay,
Better than 50,
okay.
but 43%.
So,
A little worse than the county.
So, and we battled this while we were down there for a long time. If you don't get the financial help and you wind up having to raise the rates, you've already had to raise them recently, if I recall.
September.
Was it 12%?
12% overall, yes, 6 on the water, 6 on sewer.
So I'm afraid, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm afraid we'll reach a point to where you're just gonna have some citizens that say, I can't do it. I gotta worry about medication, I gotta worry about this, I gotta worry about that, I gotta worry about heat, I gotta worry about all this. In a worst-case scenario, what are you gonna do for those on the fixed income that aren't going to be able to pay their water bill? Because I know we had them when I was down there, and I'm glad to hear that it's dropped into the 40s, but, I mean, what would be a plan for that?
it's kind of hard to have a plan because, number one, we've only got like 800 customers. So we don't have the customer base to even, to get extra revenue. Plus, y'all need to also remember Windrock is also talking about coming out in Beech Grove, and they're going to tie on to our sewer system with a campground. That I think is 25, 26 year. So, we've got that to worry about.
Is there any other questions for them? And I will ask a question just because I am very familiar with the system and been in those shoes, so I understand. I do know the system runs into Campbell County, and of that bid that came in, how much of that line is in Campbell County? And do you guys plan to go to Campbell County to ask for, because in the original, when we did come,
We have plans to go in.
okay, and they gave money too, a part of the ARPA funds that,
Is approximately, there's about 5,000 feet in Campbell County. The total project is 18.5, I believe, 18.9.
total footage.
Total footage is.
Okay.
is
It used to be like
probably
21, I thought it was around 21, but I don't,
Uh,
like I said, those numbers,
19, around 19 sticks in my head,
Okay.
maybe 21. But approximately 5,500 feet are in Campbell County.
okay,
And that's the newest portion of our line too.
correct. And then I'll ask another question. On the bids, so I know just, like I said, I'm more familiar with most people. There's the financing part, we have grants that, you guys had grants that are offsetting that. Is the 1.5 over the grant and, because I know when they did the financing, they were approved for, you guys were approved for so much. Is that 1.5 over that approval
It is.
amount?
It
Okay.
is.
1.3, yeah,
Okay.
it is over.
Any other questions?
And also the 60/40 split
So
on
it's
us.
It's 40-60
now.
now.
It was
We're-
60.
Yeah, we're 40 now.
Okay, because originally y'all were going to get 60.
No, we're 60, I'm sorry.
60.
You're having to pay
We're
60.
we gotta pay
Originally, you were going to get
60%
60
back. Yeah.
but now they flipped that.
Yeah.
Okay. Which makes a big difference when it's $1 million, you know. 60/40, that's $200,000 that you're adding on to the loan, so. So, I'll ask, any other questions for the guest? And then I want to see how the board wants to proceed, and Shane, if you have any ideas on discussion on that, so. Any other questions? Yes.
To rebid it?
We've discussed that, we would lose the grants that are already in place. See where I'm going with this? We've already explored that. And, we would have issues with that, and also speaking to our engineers, it's gonna come out the same. None of these contractors are hungry right now. Everybody's working, they've got all the work they want, which has made it much more competitive, on our end.
Have y'all accepted the bid yet?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a quick one. I mean, it's probably already been asked, but, and if it has to, you don't have to answer. So, did you accept it knowing you wouldn't have the funding for it?
We're gonna, if we have to get a loan, that's what we have to do.
But you didn't have it in place when you accepted
No.
it?
No,
Okay.
we didn't have it in place.
And yeah, my other question, I guess, too, and because I'm familiar with it, because the project came over, did they give you guys any kind of, on the bids, options A, B, and C, if we cut some of it back? I know it was kind of a full rehab when
Yeah.
it was bid, but I
They
did
did
not
not.
know if there was anything.
That was an original thought,
Okay.
that what we would do scope and start in Campbell County basically and work your way south, reducing scope until we got to the right number. That brought up a lot of issues with our current funding
Okay.
sources. They weren't amicable to doing that. It would have had to have been an entirely rebid project to do that.
Shane, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And like I said, the purpose for them coming here tonight was just to make us aware, let them lay the foundation for what they need, and then we can kind of take it from there, what we can do to try to help. Some points that I would make to reiterate what they've said is, and I understand Commissioner May's question, the bottom line is, this project has got to happen. The problem with it is paying for the project, if we don't give them some assistance, is going to be on the back of the ratepayers. The ratepayers in that town, 43%, did you say,
About 43.5. That's the current census.
live below the poverty line? I would dare any of us to compare that to any other utilities service area. This is a dire situation. And if we want to continue the discussion here today, certainly we can. I don't mind that at all. Again, I'm not necessarily asking for a vote today, but if we could get this discussion going, to kind of give them an indication of what we're looking at or what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do. I know my counterpart, Commissioner Isabel, is here with us today. He can certainly speak to the issue as well if he'd be willing to do so. Or, you know, however we need to take this. It's a dire situation. I consider it a crisis situation. And I think they've reached a point to where they've decided it does need to be fixed permanently and not just, you know, what we've had to do in the past up there with fixing pieces of it at a time, and then by the time you get back to the main issues, the ones that you pieced together and fixed have now broken again. So that's where I'm at on it, Mr. Chairman.
And I will say, speaking of my pastor there, it definitely is an issue that I think from day one I was working on from the 7 years I was up there. So, and Commissioner Val, I completely understand the issue that's at hand. I do think one thing I think this committee would want before we kind of move any forward, there's nothing in our packet that has the information, the bid specs. Not, we don't need the bid specs, but I think that we would like some more information. Like I said, I'm very familiar with it. The rest of the board's not, with kind of what the plans are. looking at the footage and that kind of thing. Is that something you guys can get to Robbie and, you know, and just kind of maybe looking at I know where the funding resources are coming from. They do not. So I know I'm in a different shoe than they are. So I think that's something y'all would be, if we made any movement on that, they'd want to have that information.
Is there, if I may,
Right.
ask Commissioner Val a question? The crisis mode, does that include a deadline? I mean, are you all on a deadline or kind of a time frame when you need this funding, or is, kind of, what is that looking like?
The project will start next month.
I think so.
They have a 12-month?
Yeah.
We have a 12-month window to complete the project. I mean, there's not a hard drop dead.
Gotcha.
We're gonna start paying the bills right off the bat until we get to the point that we're through all our grant funding and additional resources that we have, and that's when we'll be looking at the financial, financing a loan for the remainder of the expenses.
No, the grant money, and I'll come to you after that. The grant money, I know there's 3 grants involved with that, if that's correct.
Yes.
That SRF or ARC, CDBG, SRF, and
ARC.
okay, and the ARPA fund. So there is some time, I think, like you said, to start the project and spend the money that they have to. That they have more of a deadline.
Next month.
Right.
Yes.
So there's deadlines they've got to spend on the grants faster than they got to spend on the loan part. So Commissioner White, you had a question, sir?
Yes, sir. I'd like to, usually when we entertain a situation like this, we ask for the commissioners of that district to give us their view or their plan. And I'd like to hear what Shane is. We've talked all around the barn like thing. I'd like to know what you would like to see the commission do, and I'd like to hear Commissioner Isabel, his comments.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
Okay. So I'm certainly in support of assisting them financially. Now, I can sit up here and I guess make y'all laugh and say, give them the full $1.3 million. Yeah. You know, I don't think they expect that. I think whatever we can do to help them, they're gonna be grateful in doing so. And I want to help them, but I don't want to help them just because they're city council. I want to help them because I've got friends, I've got family, I've got constituents who live in the area that is serviced by the Rocky Top Water and Sewer Department. And they have been asking me for years and continue to ask, even though I'm on county commission now, they need help with the bills that they're paying for water and sewer. We were forced years ago to increase the percentage.
Give us a number, Shane.
Yeah. Okay. 500,000.
Tim, if I may.
You can.
Actually, when I had my turn to speak, I was going to talk about it in increments up to,
Sir?
I mean,
Commissioner White, do you want to yield the floor to Commissioner?
Yes, I was asking
It's
for
fine.
both.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you can sit down. If we have any more questions, you
Jerry
can back
cut
up.
me off, so I was done. Go ahead.
thank you. As
Sorry,
I
I was trying to keep
preparing
it
to
everybody
speak
in
when you
order.
asked that, you know, we're in a unique situation here because we've got a city recorder, city manager, city councilman, property owner, business owner. So we know how tough it is to exist inside that city. As being a business owner at one time there, having 2 businesses going, the cost of the water and the garbage pickup for mom and pop was very expensive. That's been 12 years ago. And now when you try to rent the property, they'll come in and they'll say, okay, this is what, this is the rent. But then when they start looking at how much the utilities cost, it's a double. By the time you put that in there, and that's why it's been tough up until, recently when we got more people coming in, but that's because of the ATVs that everybody had. And now you're hearing about a project we worked on for probably the last 12 years is trying to get Windrock to do something on the Beach Grove side because we know how much revenue that's brought into the Alder Springs side. So what we're looking at here, and one of the things that we talked about back several months ago, before the election, Commissioner Yeager put on something there where we talked about the ARP money and how we were going to try to invest it in infrastructure because there was a return on investment. So whatever money that we come up with, I feel like it's a return on investment because those people that come to the city of Rocky Top to do whatever is going to bring more money in because this is an investment and it's, trying to help the city out. And I talked to the Mayor Frank about this, a couple weeks ago, and, she had some ideas about it, and, she understands. Robbie understands. Everybody here understands what it is. But even if we do like increment payments to them, up to $1 million, or look at a percentage rate, but I would, if I was here, I'd second his motion for 500,000.
500, that's, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or discussion?
I'd like to ask Mayor Frank a question
Okay.
that goes back to something else we were doing. The grants that came through, I know you know a lot about water and sewer because we talked about it a lot. We had the money that we dispersed to the cities. How much was that we gave them, and have you all already spent that, or could it be used on this project? I can't remember what the exact amount was, Mayor.
I think that's what they referenced, so we, yes, so
And it is
they're
going to that
using
project.
that on this, yes.
So it's going to the 1.3 already.
It was going to what we had originally
Got
thought
you.
this project was gonna cost.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know on that one.
Any other questions or concerns? Any action items we want to take on this tonight?
No, but Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear what you said again. Tell me,
The mayor got some grants,
Yes.
and it's dispersed that we divided it out. I think it was here in budget.
We gave all the cities.
And we gave the cities,
I remember that.
yeah.
So
So
that's
I was
what they're
wondering if
using.
they had already spent that money, but they've already used it for
Oh,
this
it's
already.
It's
okay,
already, it's allocated, it's
Yeah.
not spent, it's right.
Yeah.
okay,
For this project.
Yes.
okay.
Because it could be used for culverts and things like that, so I just wanted to see if they had utilized that money for this project.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on unless there's a motion. Appreciate you guys coming, and if you will please send that information to Robbie that you can get to the board, because I think they would like to review that before any kind of decision is made. Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
Mr. Chairman, what would be wrong with us looking at the 500K and seeing if that's something the commission would be willing to do? Since both representatives up there are looking at this and not only requesting it, but recommending it.
Yeah, as the chairman, I'll take a motion if somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion to give them 500,000.
Yes, sir.
Is there, but I guess I have a
Pardon?
question. It's on the agenda, but we've not had a specific request, and there's nothing attached to it. I mean, I know we've thrown around the
Yeah.
500,000, but for a parliamentary inquiry here, I mean, does a vote like this need to be added to the agenda?
I mean, the discussion was on the agenda, so I think you could take action on it. We have a motion on the floor,
What was the,
so, was it
Well,
seconded?
I can withdraw that I don't
Well,
want to.
and I'm okay with having discussion.
I'll go ahead and second it so we can discuss it.
Okay, and then Commissioner Hayes, I'll give you back the floor to let you finish.
it was just a question. I mean, you guys can roll that.
And-
I was just asking.
Yeah, and I would say on some discussion, I know as the chair, I'm not supposed to discuss a lot. I'm not comfortable making any kind of donation without you guys seeing the whole thing. Just because I have and I understand the numbers, because I've dealt with those numbers, I've helped bring a lot of that money in. I don't think, and I'm not sure, obviously it's the board, but if I was gonna make a decision on today, I'd be saying no, just until I want everybody to see that information, because that is a large request that they're asking.
Are there something that after we see the whole situation, are there something there that would cause us to not want to do that?
Well, I don't think in my opinion but I think it's as taxpayers, and we've had this conversation before with other cities. We just had this same discussion on traffic lights with the city of Clinton. We had the same discussion with Oak Ridge, and we've given money, right, to cities and that kind of thing. I think nobody wants to make a decision without seeing the information. Tends to be how this committee has moved, and as commission as a whole. So I know we can go in good faith effort. Yes, 500,000. I know a lot about the project because I helped do the project, while I was there.
Well, this motion will give us an indication of how this six feels here,
Okay.
and then we go from there.
I would like to know the funding source, the funding source.
Yes, that was my other,
Like
on the motion.
ARP funds, unassigned fund balance.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Jim.
first of all, thank you, Commissioner White, for making that motion. I appreciate it. I really do. I'm sure people up in our district would appreciate that. I do, however, take into consideration that this is very early on in the process. This is the first time some of us have heard about this issue and what is required. I would feel totally comfortable in waiting until the city leaders brought that information that's been requested. Everybody can see it out. And if we have those concerns with us here tonight, we already know one's gonna be voting no on it, so it'd probably fail. I would feel more comfortable if we waited until we got the information. That way, not only does Budget Committee have it, but the full commission would have it. Because even with the likelihood that it's gonna pass here today, full commission, it may not. So, thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate it. That lets me know, gives me some confidence. But I do understand it may be premature to go ahead and do that.
And I want you to know, my no vote would not be based
I
on
understand.
the giving money at some point. I just want to make sure that information, there's a lot of working parts to that funding that they have. And I don't think it's fair to everybody knowing as much as I know that you
understand.
guys would, so.
Well, you asked some good questions, and I thought you was leading us.
Well, I was trying to give as much information I could
Yeah.
because I know a lot about it, but
And I
I've also
appreciate
been gone 7 months, so I know what else has come in. And I understand, I had feelings when I was there that these bids would come in high because I knew the market, what the market's driving now, so.
Okay.
But we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion?
You wanna withdraw?
Oh, and we did not have a funding source on where that, did he add that to your motion?
I didn't
Okay.
come up with no funding source.
And did you have something else before?
Are they wanting to withdraw their motion?
That would be up to them, once again.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yes, of course, the funding source would be what most, you'll have to know that first, and I would suggest ARP, and then we've talked about how much interest that we've brought off of that as well. I don't know if that interest is earmarked for anything, is it?
No, not currently.
Okay, that may be something to consider as well. Thank you.
And before we take a vote on this, do you want to keep your motion on the floor with the funding?
I don't want to try to decide on the funding part of it.
Okay.
So if he withdraws his.
So I'll withdraw my motion, but that was the way I feel.
Okay.
I wanted to give the leaders of
Yeah.
Rocky Top
Yes, sir.
to give them a feeling of what they're asking for.
Right. And I think having a number gives us something to work off too. And so can we go ahead and put this on the agenda for next month? Is everybody good with that? Okay. Then we'll move on. If there's nothing else, we appreciate you bringing that to us, Shane. And Robbie, back to you on budget prep
Yes.
and.
So, it's that time of year again that we all love, is the 24-25 budget season. I printed off some guidelines. These are basically the guidelines we use every year. I highlighted a few things because those are things that we can change in the guidelines. Under 2, departments should submit a no increase budget. We've kind of asked for that the last 4 or 5 years. And capital outlay for equipment should not be budgeted in operational department budgets. I know there are some that are interested in that being budgeted in operational budgets, but I highlighted that. And then on the second page under number 4, salaries and compensation are to be the same as or lower than the amounts in the 23-24 amended appropriations. Any increase requires justification and presentation to the budget committee during the budget hearing process. So, your all's comments on budget guidelines or what you would like to see in the budgets. I put a calendar in here. I've only added one date that is not a budget, normally a budget committee meeting, and that's March 21st, if needed for budget hearings. So everything falls in budget, in the budget committee meetings and county commission. There has been some needs for an extra county commission or a special call meeting in June if we want to get the budget passed before June 30th. We've done that the last 2 years, so that can happen. But the calendar can change as the budget progresses. Sometimes we need a different date or a workshop or something. We schedule that if needed. So that right now that's the set calendar if you all approve it. So I just need your all's approval on the guidelines, suggestions, and the calendar and the forms that are behind it to get started with the budget process.
Do we have a motion? Or you go?
I got some questions.
Okay.
We're about to bring up C, right? Are we gonna talk about this tonight, or is that just
C
giving
is
us
just,
information?
we talked about in the last time we brought it to this committee,
Mhm.
you all suggested the budget season. It's more of just part of the budget process that you all can start taking a look at it.
Yeah.
We discussed it this month in HR advisory. And there's 3 different plans in here, something to look at. I don't think that, I'm not interested in taking a vote or y'all acting on this tonight.
I was
I'm
just
more
gonna,
of,
my suggestion was gonna be, if we're gonna do the guidelines, I would like to see the department heads and the elected officials, if it's something that they're interested in doing, and I know that they've come to the meetings, and
Right.
it seems like they're interested to do it, but they want us to put it on our backs to do
Yeah.
it. And I just feel like if a department head or an elected official wants to give out a longevity plan, then they need to put that in their budget, and they need to present it to us as that. I mean, I respect Sheriff Barker last year. That was hard to come to this podium and ask for a raise and this plan for his employees, but he put it together and we made it work. I kind of feel like we're letting everybody else snake us a little bit. That's just my words of that, is if you're an elected official, we're giving you a pass that you're not increasing your budget, or you're not increasing your salaries, because we're giving it to you. So you get out of that limelight of saying that your budget's increased. So I think if an elected official wants this for their employees, I think that they should present it in their budget. Try to dwindle down some of their budget, because, I mean, we see that we have these transfers and appropriations all the time, so there is money that could be reduced from some of these budgets, and they could try to fit it into their plan, and that's what I would like to see. If we're gonna talk about longevity, then we need to talk about the long plan of it, because if another elected official comes in, they get elected, they might not want to give longevity for their employees, and we're taking on that responsibility of saying you have to. So I don't like that. I think every elected official and department head should be responsible for their budget, and we should approve that budget with them presenting it. So that's just my thoughts on that. I think that they should be presenting it to us, and we shouldn't do it as 16.
well, and I don't want longevity to be the focus of tonight. That's one of
Yeah.
the reasons I said I'm not interested in, I mean, it's just an introduction.
Yeah,
I
and
want
that's
the
just
budget
me.
in-
That's
I mean,
my
we haven't even
opinion on it.
introduced the budget till this meeting, and we're already, but it's just more to let you all know the plans that have been submitted.
Yeah.
And I agree, there could be some cuts in budgets to put that in there, but it's also a benefit, and it's hard to give one department a benefit and not.
I know.
You're getting into some.
I get it, but at the same time, I would like to see that, because I think we keep giving raises, we keep giving all these merit things, I think, and it's a wonderful thing, but at the same time, we're taking that load on our backs.
And we really
for
do
the
have a lot of
elected
departments
officials.
that adhere to the guidelines that come in with a no increase budget. I
Yeah.
mean, last year we probably had 2 or 3 people that came to budget hearings, the sheriff being the main one.
Mhm.
But when we ask for a no increase, that's what they try to do. I know
Yeah.
that's what I try to do, and
I would like to
other
see,
departments.
for me, I would like to see it the way they want it, and then added what they can get rid of to put the cost of longevity, if that's possible.
And I would echo what you're saying, and adding that I think we tend to go, well, if we give raises, it's gonna be commission that gives raises on the back end. And I think sometimes as commissioners, we don't understand I think the sheriff brought the issue to us and said, hey, we're losing people, we can't compete. This is why we need these raises, and they put it in their budget. I think there's other departments probably having the same issues that we don't know about, and we come, and because they submitted a no increase budget, because that's what the rule said. So I don't know if it's we, submit a no increase budget, but put a stipulation in there, a second budget with raises that we feel like are needed. And I think that's something I know the mayor kind of brought up with EMS last year that they didn't put in there.
They do 3
because
different
but that was something they probably could have looked at. And I don't want to speak for you, Mayor. that was kind of the discussion that other departments kind of follow the rules and I don't want that to be the situation that we get back to down the line. And that if there are departments that need, because I think there is need in certain departments that probably need, hey, we need to do this because we're not being competitive or, and I just don't know how we want to word that. And that could open a whole can of worms, but maybe submitting a second budget with,
Well, EMS submits 3 budgets. They always do a Cadillac, a middle, and a no increase. They've done that for years. And we've asked for no increase budgets for the last 3 years. It's easier to do a in my opinion, it's made budget a little easier when you do a no increase. You see your how much revenues you have over expenditures, then you can start talking about raises. That's just how we've done it. I'd be happy to bring back a budget for everybody with a percentage raise in for each department. I mean, I can do that from the beginning. But that's just not how we've done it in the past. But that's why I said this is a new budget season. It's your all's. I'm looking for your guidance.
Commissioner Mays.
On the projected revenues in these fee offices, how often are funds turned over? What part of that is being turned over from our fee offices where they project these different, to break even over here, but a lot of times they may be projecting low and they're.
To be honest with you, I do their projections.
Why? That's not your
Well, I'm looking
responsibility.
at because I feel like I have a good feel for it with what they're bringing in.
I get that, but that's what they're elected to do.
Well, I mean, they give me theirs, but if I think they're under, I mean, I basically put it at what I think they're going to. I rate it. I mean, I prorate it to what I think it's going to be next year if it's increasing or not increasing. I mean, I do.
I guess
I
my
do most
question-
of the revenue projections for the general fund.
Anything else?
Nah,
And one thing I would just throw this on the table just for some discussion as we go through. I know as any rollover, we do 20% into a capital fund.
We do.
And something I would like us to look at, maybe going down the road, is maybe setting, once we get to a certain amount in our fund balance, rolling any excess to capital at a threshold. And then if it goes below that in fund balance, then it automatically goes back to fund balance until, if we want to say $15 million, $16 million. And so I don't know if you can ever have a healthy enough fund balance, but, at some point we go, okay, hey, we got $20 million in the fund balance, but we know we've got capital projects coming down the road. And I think that's something we can look at to really help build that capital account so we can do some of the capital. So that's just a thought. Obviously, if it gets shut down, but I just want to throw it on the table
Well, our
for.
fund balance limit's $6 million. I mean, we're at 10.4. So that's what our policy states right now. We've increased that the last 2 years, so
Yeah.
quite a bit. So, yeah, I agree. I mean,
We can have automatic roll off back and forth if it drops too
you all
far.
are, anytime that I think if budget committee or a commissioner wanted to move more money into that, assigned capital, restriction, then I think that's a good idea personally.
So you need a motion on the calendar and.
I mean, if you are okay with the guidelines being as they are, the budget guidelines with a no increase budget, and, or if you, want them to, we're not talking about longevity right now. I understand what you're
right.
saying though, but yes, I need the guidelines, the calendar, and the forms in a motion to accept these, or give me any change you would like to see in the guidelines.
The one change I would like to see is a secondary, like, I don't know how you put that, a secondary
Yeah.
thing, maybe a wish list of, 2 options if, just because I think sometimes our department does have a better feel of what raises need to be than commission does, because we can go, well, we got 7%, okay, that's across the board, but, that gets us up, but that's still, certain departments are not competitive, and maybe not, some departments require more than others, so I'd like that in there somehow that works for you, Robbie, without completely throwing your whole thing off. That would be, I will take, and I don't want to make the motion as a chair, but
We can ask for a no increase budget and a budgeting with a percentage raise that maybe you'd like to see for your department. it causes me, not causes me, but I have to create two different budgets then and that's not easy to do.
I
I
just
can only
think-
do one at a time.
For me, I guess, Mr. Chairman, if you don't, I'm sorry.
No.
Like, thinking of the sheriff's department. They have contractual obligations, whether it be with Southern Health Partners or whoever, where every year there's an increase.
Well, and we're not talking about those because we have to increase those things, and I have those in my department. So, and you just list that in your budget that the contract price went up.
So we're not asking them then we are asking them for increased budgets.
Well, some increases can't be helped, and that's one of a contractual increase cannot.
I mean,
We're
in
talking
theory-
about if you want to give your deputy director a $10,000 raise and give everybody else a 2% raise, then I ask them to come to the budget hearings to do that. And you all have to approve that.
But if it's within the confines of their own budget, and it's not increasing,
I'd be okay with that then,
okay.
as long as, if it's an increased budget for stuff like for payroll increases or whatever, I would ask them to come to budget hearings.
But if the bottom line doesn't increase,
Then, like Commissioner Beauchamp said, they found a way to make it work. I'm okay with that usually.
And I'm okay with that too, if somebody
Yeah.
brings, if they want to, because sometimes you have a one-time expense that year, you had to put in, that we knew that.
I will say, we're obviously turning money over. We had a 20% of what, 450,000. I forget how much rollover we had. So we do have fluff in our budgets, even at no increases for the last 3 years. Obviously we have personnel changes that affects benefits, which sometimes come in, money rolls over there. But I do think that departments could find money in their budget to do that kind of thing, in my opinion, but I know I could in mine.
I just think it would be nice for departments to do that. The sheriff's department or EMS they do that. There's no reason why, especially these fee offices who can, I don't want to use the word manipulate at all, but the fact is they can, how many times do they come up here and ask us to increase a revenue because they're about to increase an expenditure? That happens all the time in every fee office that we have. Well, why are we not increasing, why are we not hitting those revenue marks early on and giving our employees more money? See what I'm saying? Instead of saying, well, I'm going to keep everybody at this amount, but I'm going to make sure that my revenues I know my revenues are going to be higher this year because I'm getting more fees in this, but they're not asking for their employees to get more money. They're just getting new, bells and whistles for their office or new furniture, but asking us to give 7% out of general fund. But they've got control of their budget. And
A lot of times when they increase that revenue for anything data processing, I take that from their restricted funds anyway, regardless of whether they increase revenue or not. It's just,
I know, but Robbie, you know as well as I do.
I know.
That,
Well, and the only thing
that
I have,
Rex Lynch or Jeff Cole or any of those guys have enough money in those budget line items that they can increase a revenue code and present a raise to where the expenses and the revenues offset. And they will hit it every time.
yeah, and I think most,
Is that a fair statement?
sort of. I think
I'll
most
agree.
departments, elected officials, employees should be happy with the raises they've got the last 3 years.
I agree.
And I think they've been very fair and very, the best since I've been here in 30+ years, so. And we've had more money, obviously, so it's easier to do that. I don't know what that's gonna look like this year yet, but that's one of the reasons we kind of wait to see what raises look like, because we don't know.
But I just think it's unfair to the offices that cannot generate.
Right.
Just for an example, let's say HR or parts of the mayor's office, the law director's office, all of these places that don't have the capability to generate revenue. Hell, the jail. If people think that that's a moneymaker, they're crazy.
We're making money, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So it's unfair to those people whenever they've got the ability to take care of their own.
Well, and I don't want to interrupt, sorry.
No, you're good.
You know, and
I'm
I do
enough
know
trouble,
as we
I
go
think.
throughout the year, we're making budget amendments, and then is it based also, the no increase based on what the budget was start of the year, or what we amended it throughout the year? Because sometimes we amend it because it's a one-time cost, and they go, okay,
Well, you have a little question at the bottom of each budget amendment.
Right,
that
it's
says,
gonna
"Does this
affect next
year's?"
year's.
And if they say yes, then it is an add-on, but most of the time, that's not, answered yes. Now, you know, if you're doing a payroll increase or a budget amendment, then obviously that's gonna affect the budget for next year, but, a lot of, or a contract you're adding to someone's budget, that isn't, will affect next year's budget as well.
but I would think we would want to say if it's going to be an increase, even if we amended that along the way, that what they originally submitted, and now they had an increase because of the payroll thing, and then they need to come back and tell us like, hey, this is why I did this, and this is an increase, but we've made it work because they decreased the code, but if they turn it back into us, that code's going to be the same as it was when they started the budget year, not the amended one, right? Or will it be the amended decrease in the code? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or is that
I just think that
gibberish?
you can open up a can of worms when you ask for increased or cut budgets. I've been making a list of budget codes this year that are always amended and never a penny used. And they amend the same code every year in their budget. So they could have cut that budget code a long time ago and they haven't. So when you allow somebody, okay, find the money in your budget, I can promise you they can find the money in their
Yeah.
budget. So I just don't know that, I don't know. Why can't they cut that budget code and turn that money over to the county, you know, as, it makes the budget season a lot easier.
Or fund the longevity plan that they're dying to have for
Yes.
their employees.
I got another question for Robbie. Robbie, I got this question. How many budgets do you receive that every year they're the same budget, nothing's changed? That they keep turning in the same one that they turned in the previous year?
There's a few, but not many.
And then they come back and ask for us to transfer the money over when they knew that they needed
Right.
paper, postage, or whatever. That's the one thing I'd like to kind of seal up. If they know that they're gonna need postage, which we know postage went up,
Right.
then put that money into that budget. Don't make us sit here and have to do all these things. If you know that you're gonna need extra postage, take the time and sit down and do your budget. That's what you're here to do. That's what you're elected to do. Do your budget. Don't put it on you. Don't put it on us to make the transfers and move it around. Put it in there. So that's one thing that I would like to see, because I've kind of noticed that. It's the same budget every time, and then we get all these, I need to appropriate this money over here and move it around instead of doing the work on the front end. So that's what I'd like to see, and I think it would seal up some of this and you having to fumble through paperwork all the time.
Well, I just think needs change from year to year for budget. I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
And I know,
It's
I
hard to hit
understand that, but I
exactly
think
in a
a lot of
budget.
people just say, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing, hope for a raise, hope for longevity, hope that we don't have any increases, but if we do, I'm gonna take it from this code, knowing that they're gonna need it. I've seen it. This is my second round on budget committee, and I've already seen it. I'm seeing all this going through. And it's kind of frustrating, because then I have to start fumbling through codes and all this stuff, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just do it on the front end? Like, we seriously passed a budget, and the next month, we were transferring money around. That's crazy.
I can,
For some of these
I can give you an
elected
example
officials.
from my office. I have an IT director that when I have a server go down, tells me I've got to buy another one, and so I have to move money around to buy
But
another one.
that's different. That
Well,
was a
that's
need right then.
sometimes what these changes are.
What we're seeing in this is, we passed a budget, and the very next month, we were moving money around, when they could have just put it in their budget. They knew that they were gonna need that. So I'd like to see these elected officials and department heads sit down and do your budget.
Yep.
Do it right. Don't put it on you, don't put it on us. Yeah, we're the funding source, but do your job. Do what you were elected to do, and don't put it off on you guys. You've got enough to do. That would make your job a lot easier if they would start doing that. So that's the one thing that I'd like to see us kind of clear up a little bit. If they know that they're gonna need $10,000 in postage, then put your $10,000 in postage in there. Quit transferring it from copy and paper over to postage. I'd like to see that and seal that stuff up a little bit. I'd like them to take the time to do it.
And one other question, Robbie, on the capital outlay,
Yeah.
like I know we don't want to put that in operational budget, but will they, do we get a capital outlay list from them?
Yes, I
Or-
asked for every department to send me their capital outlay needs and, to give me the level, how serious, level 1, level 2, whatever, the most, and I get a few of those.
Okay.
Mainly sheriff and EMS, but some other departments do that as well.
And I will say too, just from EMS and sheriff's perspective, that 2-year monies, this is
it.
This is it.
Gone.
And not to mention what used to be $46,000 or $7,000 to outfit a sheriff SUV has now turned into, because of increase of cost, $52,000, $53,000.
Well, and I mean, in my opinion, for what it's worth, I would use some of the remaining ARP funds we have to do the same thing again for the sheriff and EMS, and it protects our fund balance. And it's just my opinion, though.
We have a motion to approve the calendar.
Motion to approve.
We have a second? We got a motion by Commissioner Bochamp to approve as is?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
We got a second by Commissioner Mays. Any more questions or discussions? Seeing, Robbie, we're moving on.
I have got to have a motion for the guidelines, calendar, and forms. All
This is
three.
for the
I'll
calendar.
make a motion
I know,
to
I mean,
accept all three. I'm not saying it.
You're okay with the, all three?
I'll work on some change on the guidelines to try to say what y'all want to say. I can make that work.
We can just vote no if we don't want it.
Are you okay with that? Okay. We got a first and a second to approve all three together. And any more questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
All right, and like I said, Section C, longevity pay, was an introduction. It's kind of like a homework assignment or what, I mean,
Okay.
I get your all's feelings, opinions on this, so, I was asked to put it on the agenda and I did, so, I mean, and I think we've talked about the elected officials coming to, when it's time to come to this meeting and, support this, and I think they will, so I don't think anything else really needs to be done or said about longevity pay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, anybody else have anything to add on that? Okay. And then under new business, we had two items that we added. Do you want to do EMA first?
Sure.
Okay.
It's just a transfer from EMA for $4,500, increasing maintenance and repair of equipment, $2,500, and other supplies and materials, $2,000.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Got a second, motion approved by Commissioner Bochamp, second by Commissioner Val. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Okay, and the next thing is what Jay emailed me and asked me to put on the, I've given you all a copy of the email, and I'll let Jay take over this conversation.
Thank you, Robbie, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of the opioid defendants. Let me explain it this way. It's a three-prong, I guess, case. We've got the Attorney General of the state of Tennessee that's got a case. Then we are among 35 different other municipalities and cities that have brought it through the a separate attorney, a private attorney, Branch and Strandstetter. And you know, we approved one of the settlements here a couple months ago on that. Now, as we're seeing before, several of these defendants are filing bankruptcy. This is a bankruptcy by Endo. They were one of the pharmaceutical manufacturers and distributors that produced a lot of opioids, and they proposed a settlement plan. I hate I'm having to do this, but we just got it sent to us like a week ago. It was right after the last county commission meeting, and that was only been a couple weeks ago. But they put a date for us to opt in or opt out as the 22nd at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, our county commission meeting doesn't meet until 6 o'clock, and we get into the business at 6:30, and there is no extensions on that. It's a hard date and time, 4 o'clock that day. We've got to know. So what I've done to give everybody a fair shot at looking at this, I put it on the operations agenda, distributed the forms to them and the budget committee, because I want each county commissioner to get a shot at looking at it, seeing what they think, measuring their interest in settling this case through bankruptcy, and moving on. And that way, if it looks like we've got a clear understanding of which way we want to go, we'll send in the notice or opt out, opt in, or abstain. You've got 3 choices here on this one. And we'll ratify that decision at county commission later on that night. That's the only way I know how to do it. I think it's the fairest way. All 16 county commissioners get a chance to take a look at it through the 2 main committees that we have, budget and operations. But let me explain to you that this one is a little bit different. On this one, there was an independent group, they call them OCC. It's made up of non-paid, non-interested individuals that looked over this plan. Some of them are private citizens. One of them was a lady that suffered, a caregiver of 2 children exposed to opioids in utero. Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association, a couple medical centers, and some private experts. There was 7 of them. They looked at this settlement and they proposed that we opt in. And some of the major reasons that they want us to opt in, again, they're disinterested financially in this decision. They're just trying to look out for our best interest on the, but one of the main ones is the Malkinrod settlement that's already been approved was an 8-year plan. This is a 2-year plan. And what's happening in these long drawn out plans is they're not loaded up front. Now, we would have the opportunity to either take the 2-year plan, which would be in a group that would divide 119.7 million, or the 1-year effective date plan, which is basically as soon as it's signed, we've been in a group of 89.7. It's reduced. With that, we have to release some people. And I was talking to Rachel about this. What does that mean, releasing somebody from this? We can't go after them ever again. It's individual peoples. It's owners, it's shareholders. You probably got it there, the ones that are in there. We've got a page. It's a lot of different individuals that they're trying to insulate from liability is what it amounts to. Most of them are owners, their estates. The chances of piercing that corporate veil and getting to those people on this is little to no chance on that. I'll just be honest with you. I don't know if we even want to go after these individuals. We want to go after where the money is at right now, settle these claims and move on. That's just my advice. But I'm going to give you the opportunity to either vote for or vote against the settlement, or we could abstain. And what was the consequences again with the abstention? This counted basically like a no vote.
Yes, so this is basically voting on the Chapter 11 plan itself. Yeah.
Rachel is our bankruptcy expert, and she knows a lot more about bankruptcy than I'll ever know. So,
this is basically just a vote on whether or not to accept the Chapter 11 plan. Anytime you file a bankruptcy, especially one like a Chapter 11, the claimants have an opportunity to either accept or reject the plan. The settlement that had taken place prior to them filing bankruptcy is not included in the plan. So the previous settlement that the state of Tennessee already has is still in place. We can either vote to accept the plan and do these releases. We can vote to not accept the plan and still do the releases, or we can vote to abstain from accepting the plan and opt out of the releases. Those are your 3 options.
the other thing, and she hit on something I didn't tell you, this does not affect our other cases. It doesn't affect our AG case, doesn't affect the ones we've got Branch and Strandstetter working for us. It doesn't affect that any one bit. But that's what we've got to do. We can either take the money on the effective date that's reduced, we can take it over a 2-year period, and or just go through the whole process and see what happens. And what's happened on these long drawn out, like the Mallinckrodt, you get to the point where there is no assets after 8 years. And when you get an opportunity to get it all, like that one opportunity, was the checks written the effective date. You're taking a little bit of risk by allowing to string out payments, especially in this type case. They're getting hit in all different types of avenues, various different lawsuits. Somebody may come in and sweep out all their assets and all their bank accounts. I've told you all about the 4 counties in northern Ohio, and people didn't think their theory was going to be a very good theory. It was on the nuisance theory. That's exactly what we filed on here with the 35 other municipal either counties or cities, and they hit big. They all
are wrapping up around 12 to 16 million on it. So that theory is viable. Branch and Strand Center has pled that theory for us. So that state AG claim, the other private claim that we've got, those are not affected by this, and none of the other bankruptcy settlements that we've approved, I think we've approved 3 now, are affected. This is segregated totally on its own. Any questions on this?
Any questions? Comments? We just need either a motion to accept, reject,
Or
or
do
abstain.
nothing.
Or nothing.
There's an abstention option there, but I believe me, that abstention option is pretty much saying no, that you're gonna ride it out. And I don't know if that's the case you wanna take, is riding out something like this. On bankruptcy, you better get the money when the pot's full, or it's liable to disappear.
Is that a motion, Commissioner White, to accept?
No, but I agree with what they
I'll make a motion
We
to
got a motion
accept.
by Commissioner Bochamp to accept. Is that a second to accept?
Take the money.
Okay,
Are
any
we-
other questions or discussions?
Is it, do we have to take one or the other, the 1 or the 2, or is it the 119 or the 89?
Do we tell them up front on that, which one we're gonna go with? There's the 2 options, the 2-year or the effective date.
So to be perfectly honest, I am trying to schedule a call with one of the attorneys to explain that.
The settlement document's 150 pages.
Yeah.
It's difficult, and what I gave, I think the budget committee and the operations committee is massive. I think you got 57, 58 pages, but I think you'll get the option down the road, either take the 2 or take the effective date settlement.
You all have it all in front of you, it's just not.
Okay. You save paper,
I
didn't
tried
you? Saving that budget.
I appreciate
I
that.
wasn't gonna bring anything, but I decided to put the lesson.
Any other questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carries.
Thank you, that's all I have for you, sir.
Nothing else on the agenda come for us? Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion adjourned.